Hello, all. So, where to start? I guess you could start with this debate that just. Sorry, this camera's crazy. With this debate that just happened. Yeah, I don't even know what to say about it. I remember Ben Shapiro opened up his episode saying, "What the hell?" And that's kind of how probably everybody felt, even people that thought that Trump won this debate. You can't deny that that was the literal definition or picture image of what American politics has been whittled down to. Two senile, well, I don't want to say Trump is senile. I love Trump, but two, it's like watching grumpy old men. That's all it was. Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau just yelling at each other. I'm going to kill you. No, I'm going to kill you. No, I'm going to kill you. No, shut up. No, I'm going to hit you. With their cane, trying to beat each other up. There was virtually no substance to it. And I mean, total embarrassment to countries around the world that might be watching, to see that this is the best that we can come up with as far as people debating policy. Chris Wallace, of course, was an absolute abomination as a moderator. The guy should be fired from his post at Fox News for the absolute atrocious job that he did. I mean, any time that Trump was actually getting a decent point in, um, um, Chris Wallace would jump right in and shut him down. But when Biden was interrupting Trump, which happened frequently as well, not as frequently as Trump interrupted Biden more than Biden interrupted Trump, yada, yada, yada. But, Chris Wallace didn't butt in. It was only when Trump was landing some punches, if this was a boxing match, that the ref decided to step in. No, no hitting, no hitting, you know. So it was embarrassing on that level too. We couldn't even have a quality moderator present. Some of the things that Trump said, I people, I'm complaining as well about the quality of the debate, but sometimes I wonder to myself, is there really any other way that Trump could have debated Biden? Because Trump had to have known going into this debate that he would be debating, as he said during the debate, Chris Wallace and Biden. So really the only way to really get his point across, and he has all the fake news media out against him too, the newspapers, the magazines, the CNN to the MSNBC, all the cable news outlets except for maybe Fox News and like OAN, which is small, maybe that is the only way that he can get his message across, is just to steamroll through the thing and just keep hammering, hammering, hammering. Maybe that is the only way that he can get his point across. He's not a polished debater, he's not a professional debater. He didn't, he's not an extremely articulate person. He's not charismatic in that way. He's not a philosophical thinker. But he's funny, and he knows how to use quips to get his point across, and he's very aggressive when he does debate. So possibly that was the only way that he could debate, possibly. And that did cross my mind while watching it, is that we really have come down to the point in the country where it is capitalism or conservatism versus socialism. And so you have to wonder, are we at the point anymore where it matters whether the two men really stand up there and exchange ideas? Everybody knows what the ideas are at this point. We know what Biden represents. We know he's an empty suit. He's just an empty suit with dementia, and his party is going to steamroll him. As President Trump said, he said, they're going to steamroll you. They're going to trample you. They're going to throttle you. They're going to just use you as their little marionette. We know that. And we know that the extreme left, the radicals, are the ones that are going to control Biden. Everybody knows that. If Biden does win, they'll use the, whatever it is, is it the 25th something? It's not the 25th Amendment or whatever, where you can question the sanity and the mental capability and mental faculties of a sitting president and remove them if you consider them. No, that's not. I don't think it's ever been used before. But look, Kamala Harris is going to effectively be the president, not Joe Biden. Biden even made a gaffe where he said, vote for Harris Biden, as if he was the vice president. Even he knows that he is not presidential material. The guy's eyes cross. One eye goes this way, the other goes that way, and his veins bulge because they gave him so much either cocaine or Adderall or something before he walked onto the stage. That's the only reason he was standing up, is because they jammed him so full of speed. So, I mean, you have to wonder if that's the only way Trump can win, is just to hammer his way through. And then it's the only way he can get through his points either. Although different people brought this up. They said, look, the best way to beat Biden is to let Biden talk, because that's when all his gaffes come out, where he 200 million people have died of COVID and all this other kind of nonsense. So, and Trump didn't let him talk. He just kept interrupting him. So, there's something there. Maybe he shouldn't have been so pushy and such a bully. And, Ben Shapiro and some others said that it made Trump look like a jerk and all this kind of stuff. Matt Walsh was saying that. I don't care about their opinions, but I understand why they said that. But you also got to realize, too, there aren't too many people really sitting on the fence. People keep talking about these middle, the people we need to win over who haven't made up their minds yet. I have yet to meet a person that's like that. Now, my experience is limited to Pennsylvania, etc., Maryland, New Jersey, New York, wherever I go for work, I'll talk to people sometimes about this stuff. But I've never met anyone that's like, I just can't decide between Biden and Trump. Which one? That's like saying, like, whether you like night or day, or you're a Satanist or a Christian, that polar opposites. How do you stand in the middle between the two and wonder? You either love Trump or you hate him. And with Biden, you're either like, oh, I hate Trump so much, I'm going to vote for this guy, even though I know he's going to keel over the minute that he's elected. He's just going to die right then and there. His heart will stop. So, I don't know how you could sit on the fence. I really don't. What's this middle ground that you're talking about? It doesn't exist. There is no middle ground between Trump and Biden. There is no, I don't know, I don't know about Biden. I don't know. People are not voting for Biden because they love Biden. I don't think there's a single soul in this country that will cast a vote for Joe Biden that is really voting for Joe Biden. What they're doing is voting against Trump. They're not voting for Biden. And there's a big difference. It shows an absolute lack of confidence in the person that you're actually voting for to be commander-in-chief of the nation. You have no confidence in him. You just don't want to see the other guy, the lesser of two evils. Well, voting like that has not gotten our country anywhere good. It's gotten us to where we are now, where people are constantly like, oh, I have to vote. I don't like either of them. I don't trust either of them. But I'm going to vote for this guy because he's the lesser of two evils. Well, that's how the Democrat Party has gotten as far as they have. By sounding like moderates and sounding like they care about the public and all this other kind of nonsense, and casting, with the help of their propagandists in the media, of say that, oh, there's Republicans, they just want to take away your health care, they joined the KKK, yada yada yada. So, oh, lesser of two evils, let's vote for the Democrats, and we'll just go straight down the line, Democrat everything. That's the only reason they exist. That's the only reason the Democrat Party exists. Very few people can say that they embrace Nancy Pelosi, with all her wet brain, and, she's a quivering bowl of jello up there on the stage. And then that brings us to the news of today, which I woke up this morning to my wife telling me that President Trump has COVID. Now, there are people all across the country right now who, some of which are just rubbing their hands with glee. They're salivating at this all the political damage they can inflict on the man, because he now has the virus that he downplayed, that he denied, that he called a hoax, and all this other kind of stuff he never said. What he said was a hoax, was the hysteria drummed up by the media and the Democrats about the virus. He never said the virus itself was a hoax. And this is the kind of nuanced thinking that the liberal left and the Democrats are just either incapable of doing, or they're so disingenuous and dishonest that they refuse to go down that road. Oh, no, no, he said it. He said it. No, he didn't. He said that the virus is everything he said, and especially with Trump. I don't understand how people, again, I think it's dishonesty, don't realize by this point, after almost 4 years of the guy being in office, that you have to understand and read into what you might call the thematic scope of President Trump. So every word that comes out of the guy's mouth, you do not take literally. He is not the kind of person that you do that. He speaks in hyperbole and exaggeration. He talks like a salesman. It's the greatest thing ever, like numbers we've never seen before. The greatest economy this, the greatest economy that, the greatest, fastest recovery. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. He's a salesman. You don't take what he says literally. They'll have the vaccine tomorrow. No, they won't. We all know they won't. Tomorrow means very soon. You need to understand that. And the fact that they don't understand that either means they're idiots or B, they're dishonest. And they do understand it, but they're just, trying to be dishonest so they can destroy President Trump, which is much more likely. So he has COVID. He goes to Walter Reed Hospital, the military hospital, I believe it is. So what? What does this change? Again, nobody, myself included, or President Trump has ever said that this virus didn't exist. I could get the virus tomorrow. That would suck. I don't want that to happen. I pray that it doesn't happen, because that means that I'll be sidelined. I'll have to quarantine. Maybe there's negative health effects on me. I don't want to die, and I don't want any of my family to get it. So, and we're all living under the same roof. Tons of complications. No, I don't want that to happen. But would it change anything that I believe about the virus? Would it change anything I've said in any of these videos I've made on the Woke Nation YouTube channel? No, it wouldn't change a single thing I've said. It would not change at all my perspective on the virus. I still say, whether I have the virus or not, that the economy should open up. I still say that masks overall are ineffective. They are not efficacious. They're idiotic. Social distancing is way overhyped as a method for containing the virus, especially if you actually listen to the CDC. The virus can, if somebody sneezes, the virus can hover in that exact spot and then travel with the wind for months and weeks, just gone with the wind. So at that point, of what use is social distancing? Is pointless. The mask actually just contains germs on your face. Very few people wear a mask the way you're supposed to. Number one, a lot of people don't even wear the proper mask. They wear a bandana over the face. They pull their shirt up over their nose. The list goes on and on and on of ineffective ways that people cover their face. And then when they actually do buy masks, they wear them for the entire day. You're not supposed to do that. They wear them for days on end. I do it. I admit that. I have to go into a store. I don't have a stupid new mask. I look down on the floor of my van and I pick up the first freaking mask I see. I don't care. Okay? And if I get COVID, I'll recover from COVID and I'll continue with the same habits that I've done in the past. I'm not going to let a stupid virus that 99.99, you have a 99.96, I think it is, or a 99.6 chance of surviving, to rock my world. And again, I've said this before many times, the only reason that COVID is anything special is because we chose to make it special. We responded in a certain way, and because of that, COVID is a huge deal. Okay, and now it's a huge deal that the president is going to the hospital with it. Let's not forget that Boris Johnson, at the very beginning of the shutdowns, went into the hospital with COVID-19, and nothing changed anything over there. Boris Johnson's fine. I don't agree with how he's leading the charge on this thing over in the UK, but then again, I don't agree with almost anything the UK is doing anymore. But, I mean, what did it change? Nothing. President Trump's 73, 74 years old. They claim he's obese. The man is not obese. He's overweight. He's not obese. He has horrible eating habits, but the guy is probably not going to die from this. I pray that he doesn't, for many, many reasons. I would never want that to happen to anybody. If Joe Biden got COVID, I would pray for the man, and we all should. This it's part of the reason why we're in the terrible shape that we're in as a country, that so many people are we have to fight hate. We have to fight the lack of empathy that this heartless president exhibits. And then when he gets COVID, they hate him so much that they exhibit no empathy when he gets the virus. You know, they rub their hands gleefully and, yes, we were right. Good. He never wore a mask. I'm glad he got it. And I hope he gets really sick. And some of them are even saying they hope he dies. Many of them are saying that. It shouldn't be as a surprise when you have when their ideology is basically just whoever's stronger wins, survival of the fittest, and kill your enemy quickly. You know, no mercy. That's the basic drumbeat of Antifa and Black Lives Matter. There's no sympathy or empathy or Christian love there. You know, if you get sick, they'll trample you. They'll take advantage of it. Look for a weakness in all your enemies so you can destroy them. You know, the personal is the political. You know, there's no mercy in politics anymore. Look what the Democrats did to Brett Kavanaugh. Do you think they care at all about your life or my life? Or if you're sick, well, maybe we should tone things down. No, he's sick. Destroy him. Now his defenses are down. Crush him. So is it any wonder that the debate was the way it was? And is it any wonder that now President Trump is, people are, salivating and rubbing their hands gleefully at the illness of the president? Now, again, he probably will survive, and I pray with all my heart that he does. I pray that his wife Melania survives. I pray that none of his close family gets it, Ivanka or Don Jr., what's the other guy, Kushner, I don't know all of them, Kellyanne Conway, but I don't think she's there anymore. It is hard to keep track of as fast as Trump fires people. But it's just insane, and then we wonder why the country is absolutely, look, the polarization that is going on, I think, and I've said this many times before in these videos, there is no coming back from it as we are right now. Something radical has to happen. And honestly, I hate to say this because it makes it sound like, oh, you want everything your way. Yeah, I mean, sure, my way, the conservative Christian way, is how the country was founded. People that say that America was not a Christian nation either don't know their history or are just being dishonest. The founders were deists, okay? Some of them, Thomas Jefferson, Jay Adams, I don't know if he was a founder, but he was one of the early presidents. And Jay Adams was involved in signing the famous Treaty of Tripoli, I think that's how you pronounce it, in which they said that there's a separation of church and state and all that kind of stuff. And America is not a Christian nation, okay? And atheists usually and secularists usually stop right there and say, okay, well, we have it right there in writing. Jay Adams was the president. He's one of the early presidents, supposedly a Christian man. and he sends his envoy to sign the Treaty of Tripoli. And it says in there, we are not a Christian nation, except if they would just not stop right there, but actually investigate a little bit and say to themselves, okay, well, okay, let's look in John Adams' diaries and in his communiques between people and within his office, within his cabinet. And then I forget the guy's name, it was like Barlow or something, I think his last name was Barlow. It was the envoy that actually signed the treaty in place of John Adams, who was not there. What did he think of it? We'll just call him Barlow. You can look it up. I didn't know I was going to mention this. What did he have to say about it? What did he think about it? What was his opinion? What did they both think about what they were signing? What did it mean to them? And if you read their letters, if you read their diary entries, if you read their communications back and forth, under no circumstances did they think they were signing something that said America was not a Christian nation. The separation of church and state was not to remove Christian influence from the government. There was no idea of that whatsoever in John Adams' mind or in his envoy who signed the dang thing. Okay, what they both said was that they did not want one particular denomination or another they did not want Christian infighting within the government. So in other words, they didn't want the Presbyterians fighting for an upper hand over the Anglicans or the Baptists or the Methodists or the Roman Catholics. They were trying to avoid what is going on in the UK with a state church, the Church of England, where the monarch is the head of the church. I believe that's how it is over there. That's what they were trying to avoid. Okay, it wasn't let's cast Christianity. And by the way, the idea of separation of church and state was not just so that we could get rid of Christianity from the government. It was also to protect the church from the negative influence of the government. Okay, so it was both ways. They were thinking of protecting the church. In fact, I think they were thinking of that more than anything when they did this. Okay, whether John Adams was actually a gospel-believing Christian or not, I have no idea. And frankly, it doesn't matter at all, given the circumstances and the time period in which they lived. Was a Christian time period. Overall, everyone believed in God on some level, whether they were deist or theist. The deists believed that God created the world and then stepped back from it. It has no more further involvement. Yet still, the idea was that we are created in God's image. Even deists believe that. So human life has intrinsic worth and value. If that is your starting point, your society, by nature, inarguably, there is no debate, is going to be better than a society who says you sprung from pure chance and you have as your ancestors bacteria, amoeba, a fish, a lizard, and you go all the way back to just a tiny dot. And then how did the dot get there? They have no idea. Somehow something sprang from nothing, which violates the most fundamental law, one of the most fundamental principles and laws of science, which in Latin is ex nihilo nihil fit, out of nothing, nothing comes. It always has, always will. If you have nothing, you will not have something unless there's a transcendent something with a mind that creates. What Aristotle called the unmoved mover. And then Thomas Aquinas developed that. But in his five proofs for God's existence in the Summa Theologia. All that to say, these are very interesting times. And we'll see what happens with President Trump. You know, no matter what happens, he's out of action for 2 weeks. For 2 weeks, leading right up to the election. That's the part that worries me the most. I mean, I pray for his health and his ultimate salvation if he's not a true Christian, which I don't think he is. And Melania and his family, of course. We should all be praying for that. And pray for Biden, too. You know, what could be better for the country if both Biden and Trump actually, God saved them, you know? And if they had that moment, that Damascus on the road moment, where Christ intervened and the Holy Spirit regenerated their hearts, gave them new life, and they trusted in Christ as their Savior. What if that happened to both Joe Biden and Donald Trump? I mean, what could be better than that? Nothing. So... not that it would miraculously change the country. There's 330 million of us, and you know, 1 or 2 men aren't going to change anything. It would take a work of God to change the division in this country, flat out. Oh well, that's obvious. Well, you know, it emphasizes how far the division has really gone. That you're talking about polar. I mean, the division of the definition of morality is completely different. One side is influenced purely by humanistic emotion. The other side, at least somewhat of a biblical foundation, the Imago Dei, etc. There is no compromise between the two, the left and the right. There is no compromise. There is no meeting in the middle. You can't even agree on what humanity is. You can't. One side says God created us. The other side says we sprang forth from bacteria by pure chance. We came from nothing. We're going nowhere. What does that make us? And we'll end up as nothing. That makes us nothing. And then on the other hand, we're created in God's image. There is no meeting in the middle on those two fronts. There is not. There is no compromise on those two issues. You can't, oh, well, you know, my bottom half, my intellect is made in God's image and the rest of me sprang for... No. There is no meeting in the middle. Okay, these are polar opposite viewpoints. Anyway, I hope like you, like me, will be praying for President Trump. Let's pray for Joe Biden as well. And his entire family. Why not? You know, God can do anything that he wills. And we don't know what his plan is, what his will is. You could look down through history and say, well, you know, every nation rises up, hits its peak, and then there's the slow disintegration as morals and the family collapse, and then the nation collapses as well. And it's cyclical like that as history progresses. Oswald Spengler wrote the Decline of the West, and his view, his historical philosophy, was of a cyclical nature of history, which is kind of how I look at it. I wouldn't say I agree with everything that Spengler said because I don't know everything that Spengler said, but it's an interesting book, The Decline of the West. Maybe check it out. Cyclical nature. You know, every nation rises and falls, and it's just this continuing cycle. That's how we can say history repeats itself, because generally speaking, it always does. Human nature never changes. That's the basic principle. Is we're fallen. We have original sin. We're at enmity with God unless God intervenes. And so rebellion. You know, in that sense, human beings are not complicated. Your fallen nature, you're going to take the path that you're most inclined to take according to your nature, and you know, then you get off on free will and everything, which we're not going to do. So anyway, pray for the president, pray for Joe Biden, pray for Kamala Harris, pray for everyone in Trump's inner circle, and good night and God be with you.